generations ask what we did in the war, we have to be able to tell them that we were out here fighting. And we have to leave a legacy to the generations of people who will come after us. Remember that someday the AIDS crisis will be over, and when that day has come and gone, there will be a people alive on this earth, gay people and straight people, black people and white people, men and women, who will hear the story that once there was a terrible disease, and that a brave group of people stood up and fought, and in some cases died, so that others might live and be free. That is what Peter Staley did. That is what he chose to do in the face of death and discrimination. He wasn't the only one, but he was a key member of a brave group of people who stood up and fought back so that others, you and I, might live and be free. Chapter 1. Wall Street Catharsis. His eyes locked with mine for that beat longer than straight guys do. What was a young gay stud in 501 Levi's and a black leather jacket doing on Wall Street at 7:30 a.m.? He handed me a sheet of paper as our eyes kept meeting, eyes that could undress my crisp suit and tie. But it would have to be a passing thrill, or I'd miss the market briefing that always started my workday on the U.S. government bonds trading floor at Morgan Guarantee. It was the morning of March 24, 1987. The flyer in my hand was about AIDS, the 6-year-old epidemic that was terrifying and repulsing Americans. They had ignored the disease and its rising death toll for years, until headlines blared, "Rock Hudson has AIDS," followed closely by "Rock Hudson is gay." The news launched a fear-based backlash and forced Americans to think about homosexuality, toward which repulsion was still the social norm. No one at the bank knew I was gay. I had carefully cultivated the straight macho persona required of U.S. government bond traders, kings of Wall Street at the time. We made millions for the fastest-growing firms, like Salomon Brothers and Goldman Sachs, by churning Reagan's debt, all the new bonds needed to finance President Ronald Reagan's huge tax cuts for the rich, which included those very same bond traders. The flyer was announcing a massive AIDS demonstration that morning in front of Trinity Church, just a block from my trading floor. It included a bulleted list of demands targeting Reagan, the U.S. government, and the Food and Drug Administration. It mentioned both AIDS and AIDS-related complex, ARC, a kind of pre-AIDS diagnosis that is no longer used today. The flyer resonated. Less than 2 years before, I had received my own terrifying diagnosis of ARC just after Rock Hudson's death. Only my family and a few gay friends knew. The other traders surrounding me on the floor received the same flyer from the handsome guy in leather, whose piercing eyes they likely looked away from. Mark Werner, the senior trader on our floor, and my mentor since I started there in 1984, with his tall, muscular build, short-cropped blonde hair, and blue eyes that were too risky for me to stare at, quickly shut down the conversation about the flyers. "If you ask me," he said, "they all deserve to die for taking it up the butt." "I hear you," another trader replied. Me, I showed no emotion, having perfected this non-reaction along with a safer, subtle, self-loathing grin. These were my default responses to the locker room banter that filled our days on the trading floor, which included abundant use of the word faggot. But inside, I died a little more. The guy I looked up to had just said I deserved to die, and no one seemed to care. After work, however, my unexpressed anger was given voice by men and women far braver than me.